On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 66 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the producer, the man, Leighton Pip Shaventone.
Before yesterday's game, Justin Tucker was 2 of 22 for 222 extra point attempts. The one he missed, costing the game.
And our guest host today, Jared Diesel Darty.
Without even playing a game, the Steelers are back in first place.
That was maybe the biggest winner of the weekend, and they didn't even have to get off the couch. Guys, we have an excellent show for you today. We will do a full NFL recap of week number 7. We will have our word association that we have absolutely kind of fallen in love with. I know I have myself. Talk a little bit about the wild weekend in college football. Preview the games for this coming week. We have Diesel in the house, so he has brought back the doghouse. And we will break down the NLCS, ALCS, what we had seen in those matchups, and what will make for a great World Series. But before we get to any of this, get out your phones. Make sure you're on Spotify or iTunes, because those are the only two ways that you should be listening. Download, subscribe, give us that 5-star review, then get on your Twitter or Instagram, actually both, and follow at The Saucy Pod. All the subscriptions, all the downloads, they do matter. So please, if you listen, do us that much of a favor. So guys, NFL Week 7 recap. Started off our Sunday with a really, really good London game. Rarely do we get those. It seems like, a London game, you get a 44-7 blowout by the Jaguars playing at their home field. But this week, it came down to the last play. Close play. It was a 2-point conversion, so Tennessee drove down the field, scored in the closing minutes of the game. Mike Vrabel decided to go for 2 instead of the 1 to tie it up. Guys, I know hindsight's 20/20, but do you like this move or do you hate it?
I'm going to be hypocritical of myself for a minute here. I'm all about teams being aggressive, and I always say that teams ain't supposed to be aggressive. But the way that game was going, they're down 12 points in the game, and the way the Titans' offense is, probably took the 1 there, because the only thing they got down there, Marcus Mariota run around enough to get them down to the 1-yard line, and then score a touchdown. Marcus Mariota, they had 2 chances at that. Both plays were just awful. So even before the play happened, I'm like, okay, Lex, this ain't going to work. And then he threw the ball at Corey Davis in double coverage.
Yeah, I think that was just a Marcus Mariota poor decision. Diesel, what are your thoughts on that?
The game was frustrating because I left Melvin Gordon in my starting lineup and expected 20 out of him and got nothing. But
I expect that 80% of Melvin Gordon owners did that, because all of a sudden he just went from no injury tag to out.
I don't typically check my fantasy at 8 in the morning on Sunday. But anyways, I'm about going for it. Marcus Mariota's been pretty good. He's been really good in his career in the red zone for some odd reason. He's like a different quarterback. I mean, it's not so much true now as it was maybe a couple years ago, but he didn't fly to London to tie or to play some, to go in overtime and lose. I mean, you don't know if you're going to get the ball back. You got a chance to win it right there. The Chargers were pretty much helpless if you do get it. I mean, I think with a chance to win it, you might as well go for it.
Yeah, I agree. And even in a week that later on in the day, Justin Tucker, who, like you said, has been money in his career, never missed an extra point, he misses it. So and a chance to tie the game. So those, the extra point anymore is not 100% play. Like it used to be 99% of the time they would make the field goal. You would get the extra point. Now the percentage is down to 94%. So, every 100 kicks, a guy's going to miss one. So it's no guarantee of that. I personally love going for 2 in that situation. You're the Titans. You are built for the 2-point conversion. Like, you look at this team, you have Corey Davis, big guy who can jump out of the gym. Marcus Mariota, been one of the best red zone quarterbacks statistically in NFL history. And you've built your team to run the ball, to get that 2 yards. So it doesn't matter if you're passing, doesn't matter if you're running. this team is built for that two-yard play. So I know hindsight's 2020. You can look back, call him an idiot, whatever you want to do. But in that moment, I think Mike Vrabel did make the right call.
See, I agree with the call, but I feel like some into it might have been, he did London, if it was right, then come to tie, it's a very good point. But I think maybe he went back to Nashville and get some good barbecue.
Yeah, I think he was just ready to get back to Nashville, get out of London. But overall, I was just happy that we got a good game in London. Like, finally, we get one.
It was a nice thing to wake up to.
Yes, absolutely.
The red zone guy was hyped. It was.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It
man.
was good.
Scott Hansen, he's the best. So a team that's no stranger to overtime, the Browns, finding new and inventive ways to lose games. I mean, they're either dominating the game until the fourth quarter, then they lose, or they're getting dominated until the fourth quarter, and then they tie it up. They've actually played 4 overtime games in 7 games. So that's like, they're on a historical pace. I think the record for overtime games in a season is 5, so they're 1 short of that, not even halfway through the season. Hugh Jackson decides that he's going to start calling plays. He's kicking Todd Haley out of the helm of calling plays. Do you guys think that's a good move or a bad move?
Hugh Jackson is 1-31 when he calls plays. That's my case.
Yep, so look at Hugh Jackson's been an offensive coordinator for 4 different teams. Washington in 03, Atlanta in 07, Oakland in 2010, and then Cincinnati in 2014 and 15. His offense ranked 22nd at the first one, 29th at the second one, 6th, and then 15th. Look at Todd Haley. He has been an offensive coordinator at 3 spots. He was 7th in offense, 3rd in offense, and then had 5 straight top 10s with Pittsburgh. I don't think I'm going to give Hugh Jackson, even if I am Hugh Jackson, I feel like I've got to realize that's not a very good idea.
Yeah, in this scenario, it makes no sense to me. Like, how can Hugh Jackson, like, seriously look at Todd Haley and think, I'm the smartest play caller in this locker room? I mean, you look at what Todd Haley's done with this team. They're 2-4-1, so he has twice as many winning performances than Todd Haley does in a very, very much smaller sample size. They're 21.6 points per game. In the last 2 seasons with Hugh Jackson calling plays, they were 15.5 points per game. Like, that is atrocious. You're only scoring 2 touchdowns a game. That's pathetic. Hugh Jackson finally has kind of gotten something, and he has a rookie quarterback, so as Baker Mayfield develops, like, this offense does have the potential at the end of the season to explode, because you think that Baker's only going to get better. I absolutely hate this. Like Diesel said, the last 4 years that Todd Haley's been calling plays, he's been a top 10 offense. And I know that you can look at it and say, well, he had Big Ben, Lev Bell, like, he had a lot of talent, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he's had success elsewhere, and he's having success with the Browns. I know that they've had a couple woes lately, but I don't know how Hugh Jackson can look at himself and think I'm better than Todd Haley at this.
And I forget last year, Todd Haley started out with D'Angelo Williams. I think several times he's had D'Angelo Williams instead of Le'Veon Bell. He's still really good. But the big thing is, like, Baker Mayfield isn't that good yet. Like, I'm not saying he won't be good, he can't be good.
And their starting running back got shipped over to Jacksonville this week.
Yeah,
so he had
on a Thursday.
Yes, on a Thursday. So all the game planning that they've done with Carlos Hyde, out the window, and he still was able to put up 23 points.
Yeah, but, like, Baker put a very pedestrian effort against a terrible defense. I'm not saying he won't be good, I'm not saying he can't be good, but right now he's just not good. And a lot of times, if quarterback isn't good, you're not going to have a very good offense.
No, I agree. There's little that's going right for the Browns from the offensive standpoint, but they're still putting up 21 points a game.
Well, they get me on the edge every week, and I'm like, shit, am I rooting for the Browns? I think I am. And then right when I turn the corner and start rooting for them, it's like there goes some brutal way to lose.
I know, man.
There's something that just hits you right in the gut.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, man, because I think, you're even a Steelers fan. Like, they are a divisional opponent, and you find yourself rooting for them. I think most of America would agree with you, and I think all of America, except for Hugh Jackson, thinks that Todd Haley's more fit for this job. Like, you bring in Todd Haley, one of the best, probably the best offensive coordinator over the last 4 seasons, and you don't even let him do the one thing he's good at. It makes no sense to me. So, guys, the Chiefs look unstoppable on offense. I mean, absolutely destroyed the Bengals this week. 45-10. The game was basically out of reach as soon as the kickoff happened. Do you think that this says more about how good the Chiefs actually are, or how big of a pretender that the Bengals really are?
I think we knew the Chiefs were good. We knew the offense. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're doing, but I think it shows the Bengals are pretenders because they came off a tough loss last week, and their response is getting blown out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have done this every single week, and that's not stopping. The Bengals had a chance to show everybody in the world that, hey, we're for real, and they just laid a huge egg, scored 10 points against a defense worse than the Buccaneers defense.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody would have legitimately thought that the Bengals were a contender. I mean, they have the 28th ranked offense, and this game was kind of just destined to get out of reach for them. I think that the Chiefs are a little different than what we've seen in the past.
It feels different.
It definitely feels different. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I'm ready to go ahead and put him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, are you guys with me on that? I think he's a Hall of Fame player.
My dad
we've seen him
just
6
texted
times.
me today, and he said Patrick Mahomes is the best thing to happen to the NFL in like X amount of years.
Yeah,
He's
he's Michael Vick, on this
pretty
trajectory, he's
exciting.
definitely a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, dude, and like he's such a lovable guy too.
I mean,
like,
we're not all throwing him in the Hall of Fame, but he's
I
playing
am.
out of his
I
mind
am.
right now.
They get the bus ready. Get those. They can
Warm
just
it
use
up.
ramen noodles for his hair. Get the bus ready because I think that he's legitimate, dude. Like we saw against the Broncos, he broke the. I think it was like a record that had been standing for like 10 years with Michael Vick throwing the ball outside of the pocket, like yardage with that. I mean, I know it's a very obscure stat, but for a guy who is listed as a pocket passer to do that, I mean that's just unreal.
Yeah, he's good.
He's very good. I absolutely love his interviews. I think that's the only thing I like watching more than him play.
There's a few times where you see a guy and then you hear him talk, you're like, wow, and then you sound like that. Hey, twice this year. First guy was Hugh Jackson, second guy Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, a lot of people have been comparing him to like the Cookie Monster.
The Cookie Monster.
I kind of like that comparison.
I can't remember a Cookie Monster quote in my head to go off that, but.
Just listen to Patrick Mahomes and you have it. So guys, Jaguars. We'll talk about them for a minute. Scored 21 points in 10 quarters with Bortles. And then they promote Cody Kessler, a Hugh Jackson product, to be the QB1 of the team. Two parts to this one. Do you think that that's a good move to move Bortles to the bench and maybe potentially have Cody Kessler be your starter? And do you guys think the Jaguars are toast?
Well, for the first part, they already said today that Bulls are going to start on Sunday. But it's the right move to make because you want to see what you have because Blake Bortles wouldn't get anything done. Then you realize, oh crap, I need Cody Kessler. So you literally had a quarterback there. And I don't know if I'm off yet compared to the Texans. I'm Texans win a Super Bowl. So if you lose a Super Bowl champion team, I don't think you can be winning off just like that.
You absolutely had to bench him. They probably knew right there they were going to start him the next week, but at least let him sit there and think about it for half or however long he was out. But God, it was brutal. He had to be benched. I hope like hell they're toast. I love watching this situation. It's great. But I told Leighton in the preseason, actually, before the season even started, I said this team might go 13-3, but I feel like they're susceptible to going 7-9. And I don't know if that's coming true or not, but they don't look good now.
No, they look terrible. And to think just a few weeks ago, we had Blake Bortles out there throwing for 300 and something yards against the Patriots. Like, he looked unstoppable. The defense looked really good. I think that this team, this just shows how much of an effect Leonard Fournette has on this team. I really do. Just for the simple fact that, like, you know, the defense, whenever Blake Bortles out there, just you're putting it on his shoulders and making him throw the ball all over the field. Like, obviously, this team's not sold on TJ Yeldon because they had to bring in Carlos Hyde. And whenever you're bringing in Carlos Hyde to kind of be your savior, you know you're in a little bit of trouble. They signed Eric Flowers, which, if your line is that bad to where you need to sign Eric Flowers, like, you just need to hold an open practice.
Yeah.
Like, open tryout, get you a Vince Papale type guy to play left tackle.
Teams that sign Eric Flowers after how he just played are teams that go like 4-12, and they're like, can we find something here maybe?
Yes, can we find anything? Because
Contenders aren't signing Eric Flowers.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, talk about old lines real quick. You can go get a receiver, off the waiver wire and be fine. You're not going to get a good lineman on the waiver wire. If a lineman that's good on the waiver wire, there's a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like left tackles don't just. There's not a garden of left tackles that you can
He
just
had
pull
to
out
have
of
been
anywhere.
bullying a teammate or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You're not going to get Richie Incognitos every single season.
No, you're not.
Instead, you just get a bunch of Eric Flowers. Guys, I'm just going to put you on the spot real quick. Jaguars, you think they make the postseason?
No. Division's too tough right now. Not too
It's
tough.
tough.
Division is too competitive, and quarterbacks in it are too good.
See, I think this is the worst division in football
I think it is, but it's most competitive because they're
It's
all.
going to be competitive.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
because they'll all be 8-8.
But no, Houston's going to Super Bowl. They're 12-4, Super Bowl champions.
The Titans are going to be one game out because that
Yes.
point attempt.
I'm not.
God,
It's tough.
So, like, obviously the Jaguars' defense didn't just magically get worse. I think part of it is that when an offense is going 3 and out so often and you're on the field for 75% of the plays, you're going to be less effective.
Yeah.
I think part of that is the problem. But shit, they look bad.
Yeah. Do you think, like, Jalen Ramsey has to be, like, regretting everything that he had said this offseason?
I don't
yeah.
understand why guys keep putting these targets on their back for no reason.
Yeah,
No, it never works out. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Jalen Ramsey 'cause I think he's. I mean, it was hilarious when he was saying all that stuff.
It's like if you want to play a 15-year Hall of Fame career, like, you know someone's going to get the best of you.
yeah, I mean, if you want to be Richard Sherman and call out, like, an average wide receiver at best with Michael Crabtree, like, go ahead and do that. But whenever you're, like, calling out every single quarterback in the NFL, great or not, every single wide receiver in the NFL, great or not, like, your target on your back is huge. And there's no sense of that. And rarely does it pay off. I mean, you rarely see times like this pay off. And I think he has to be regretting what he had said.
So Drake, do you think this? Are you going to go back on your take from last year? The best defense of all time.
Probably, yes.
So you go. Wait, you're going off a take?
I think I have to come off this Jaguars take.
I can't believe that. This is very remote people. Drake is a king. I get off a take. He still thinks Ryan Tannehill the top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
I actually have another take to come off of.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
Let's hear it.
It was all a dream. I used to read Run Up magazine.
President of the NBA Players Association punching Rajon Rondo in the face. Week 1 of the NBA regular season. I am officially retreating on my take that the NBA regular season is pointless. CP3. Not as quick to use the Staples Center secret tunnels to the locker room when Lance Stevenson, LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, and LeVar Ball are in the other locker room. Brandon Ingram. Been watching too much LeVar Ball Monday Night Raw film. What's worse than 2017-2018 Melo? 2018-2019 Melo. Mike Leach. Been a head football coach for 18 seasons. And he's still the only guy I know who can make a 27-point game at halftime a nail-biter. Urban Meyer. Already forgot his team lost in West Lafayette by 28 points on Saturday. This marks the first time all season that his short memory will help him out. Kevin Durant, 2 times Finals MVP for the Warriors, still didn't get to give the ring exception speech. KD, that team is forever Steph's. In a game where there was 1 technical foul, 3 ejections, and a fight, Lance Stevenson was not involved, folks. That is your NBA fallacy of the season. Kevin White, 1 yard short of being 100% back. The only person who doesn't think Manny Machado is a dirty player is Manny Machado. And there's a new book out this week. It's titled Joe Kelly vs. Manny Machado, The Inevitable Fight That the Fans Deserve. And it was written by Rob Manfred. And those have been my thoughts. All right, guys, so we'll do a little NFL word association for the Week 7 recap. So, guys, in case you guys aren't familiar how this goes, I'll say something, and then everybody will, say what the first thing that comes to their mind is on this. So, guys, Week 7, biggest winner.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Rams.
Redskins. I'm going to put one toe in that they actually make the playoffs. Biggest loser.
Baltimore Ravens.
I'll second that with Cincinnati.
I'm going Bengals. Surprise.
Justin Tucker mixed extra point.
Redskins in first.
Vikings defense is back. Disappointment.
Justin Tucker's inability to send the game to overtime.
Browns.
Jermaine Kearse, 0 fantasy points, and I told everybody on Fantasy 15 to hammer lock him in. Impact injury.
Justin Tucker's pride.
Quan Alexander.
Anthony Barr, Xavier Rhodes, Dalvin Cook still hasn't played since the Rams game. WTF moment of Week 7.
How big Justin Tucker's eyes got after he missed that extra point.
Just Justin Tucker missing the extra point.
I think we'll go ahead and make it a clean sweep. Justin Tucker missed an extra point. Overreaction.
Justin Tucker lost it.
The Colts win. I don't think it means anything.
Eagles, Jags aren't making the playoffs. So let's just talk about that for a second. Justin Tucker. Leighton, you were big on it. Obviously, that was probably everything that you could think of from Week 7. I don't even blame Justin Tucker for that loss.
No, it just happens. But like the fact that he never seen before, and he just nailed 60-yard field goal like his walk in the park.
Yeah, no, and I don't think that you're putting the blame on him. Like, don't think that. Like, it's
not,
just so crazy.
So that 212 number or 218?
222.
222.
No, it was
is that the one that dates back to college? Because he never missed in college either.
I don't know.
He didn't.
He didn't miss an extra point in college.
There was one that including the postseason. There was one including the postseason. It was like 245.
So think about that for a second. We'll just use 245. The probability of his missing a kick that decides the game out of those 245 kicks is so low.
Yeah.
Did you guys
And
see
the first time he misses it, it's the difference.
They need to move it back. I mean, if Justin Tucker's even moving these things, you got to move it. You got to move it back up to the 2-yard line because
half the distance to the goal.
yes.
Did you guys see the back view of the kick? That thing was a dead-on shot, and then it just went wide right.
Well, the wind was crazy, dude.
What's crazy?
The wind was blowing stuff like out of the stands onto the field. Like, I feel like if Justin Tucker misses an extra point, you move it back up to the 2 or 3 yard line, which you had before.
It's a redo. The referee didn't know what to call. They're like, whoa.
He gets his mulligan.
Call it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, he definitely. I think it should be like golf. Give him one mulligan.
Line it back up.
For the career.
I mean, his face, dude. His face said it all, and his teammates' faces said it all. Like a lot, like if you have the Browns kicker out there, like they're over there like chewing their fingernails off. But like you send Justin Tucker out there, you're like, yeah, we're getting this one. Like it's
I'm
unbelievable.
also surprised Don Harbaugh didn't try to challenge the play to see everybody just saw it wrong.
Well, because whenever I wasn't watching that game at the time. I had seen the ticker on the bottom. It said 23-24 that they showed the scoring update. And then it showed final. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why would Harbaugh go for 2? That's immediately what I thought. Because Justin Tucker does not miss those. Like, I don't get it. Did you see what Justin Tucker did after the game, though?
I did. I can't remember what he said.
He went to the podium. Like, rarely do you see kickers go to the podium. But he actually, like, went to the podium, like, took the onus all on himself, like, blamed himself for the loss. And he, like, basically said that this won't happen again. Like, I believe him. I believe him that it's not going to happen again. He's I won't say the greatest kicker in all time because like Adam Vinatieri's had all those crazy clutch kicks, but he is the best kicker we've ever had in
Most
the NFL.
accurate.
It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers, the best thrower of a
seems.
football we've ever seen. He's not like the best kicker of football we've ever seen.
That was, I mean, I was just in awe. I mean, how many games have you seen where, and I know there's at least been one this season where Justin Tucker's the only guy who scores a point for the Ravens. I mean, that has happened
Over
time
the
and time
past
again.
few years, as Flacco has just had, like, he has some bad games, and I mean, Justin Tucker, I mean, he'll kick like 5 field goals in a game regularly.
Yeah, and they're all like 45, 50 yards, and like it's money. Like you can sit on the couch and call that he's going to make it every single time. Just mind blowing. I am officially putting my flag in the stand that they need to move it back up because whenever Justin Tucker misses one, it's way too hard for everybody else. So guys, a little NCAA football talk. We'll switch gears here and talk a little bit about college. So guys, the one thing that I can think of in college football right now, the SEC has just been so dominant this season. They have 6 teams in the top 16, 5 in the top 12. They have teams that aren't even ranked that are the probably top 20 teams in the nation. If you just, put them to the eye test, put them against just like equal opponents, they are dominant teams. Are you guys officially... I know last year we were kind of pumping the brakes on it. We were indifferent. But are you guys ready to just say that the SEC is hands down, by far, the best conference in football?
Before we start this, Jake, can you have that stat you have just to kind of add to the...
Just to kind of add to the dominance of the SEC, every game I've watched this season, like the SEC has just poured it on teams. The SEC is 32-5 against non-conference against non-conference opponents. Every single team is above 500, or they're 500 or above. If you take Arkansas out, they're 2-2, so that stat even gets more inflated. But I left it on there just to show you how dominant it is. Yeah, make it fair.
Make it accurate.
I mean, you look at a team like Mizzou, hasn't won. I don't think they've won a regular season game. Maybe they're like 1-3. They're 3-0 in the SEC. They beat Purdue, who beat Ohio State, who is a good team. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to go all in on the SEC being hands and away, not even close, the best conference in America.
Yeah, I mean, they're really good. And look at the rankings today. The top 4 teams ranked, there's a lot of ranked, obviously, but Bama, LSU, Georgia, and Florida, I could see those 4 teams beating any team in the country. Like, easily. And that's not on top of the other freaking, how many teams? Like, 8 teams that have ranked right now. Okay, not ranked. Like, they're so good. Mississippi State, are they ranked right now?
No, Mississippi State's not even ranked.
Yeah, that's what I thought earlier. Like,
They've got like 3 top 25 losses, but I mean,
yeah,
that's a
they
tough
make
draw,
every
though.
team
They have
tough.
like 3
Every
guys that are
team
going to go in the
close.
first round of the draft.
Like that team's getting robbed just because it's the best SEC's been in 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, and I said that they had the 5 losses. I'm going to read off the losses because this will just blow your mind. Clemson, they beat Texas A&M, who Texas A&M, they're an okay team in the SEC. They're not the top dog. Mm-hmm. Clemson is the gold standard for a non-SEC team. They are. They're the best team that is not an SEC school, hands and away. They beat Texas A&M by 2 points, and there was even a controversial call, definitely the wrong call, which would have swung the balance, and Texas A&M would have won that game. Vandy's a bottom feeder in the SEC, lost to Notre Dame by 5. Tennessee lost to West Virginia. Tennessee's a bottom feeder. So, I mean, you look at those losses. Those are 3 of the 5 losses, and then the other 2 come from Arkansas, losing to North Texas and Colorado State. So, 3 of the non-conference 5 losses have been to top 13 teams. Yep. Think about that. That is unbelievable. I mean, this has just been dominance. You look at Ole Miss. Is Ole Miss a good SEC school right now? This season.
Forget SEC? No.
They are a very, very bad SEC team right now. They're 1-3. Their only win was against Arkansas. Texas A&M, 3-1 in the Big 12. One of the best Big 12 teams this season. Ole Miss beat them by 20.
Was Texas Tech?
Ole Miss beat Texas Tech by 20.
Okay, you said A&M first.
Oh, my bad. No. Texas Tech. Texas Tech got beat by Ole Miss, and Texas Tech is one of the best schools for the Big 12. Beat them by 20. I don't know what else to say about this. Chime in. What do you think?
I think they're just an absurd amount of athletes and high-star recruits and really good talent going to this conference. And then Mullen moved to a bigger program with better recruits, and he's probably one of the best coaches in the conference. You already have the big guys. And then Fisher moved into the conference, so the coaching got better. The players aren't getting worse. I think Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, all those teams can make the playoff. It just depends on how the rest of the season plays out. I don't know if Florida is... I don't know how I feel about them yet. This game's going to tell me a lot, but they've got a pretty easy schedule after this Georgia game. So if they win, they could totally run the table.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But, they've just... I don't know. I feel like those 4 teams have separated themselves with wins, and then the people below them, they're talented, but... playoff hopes are probably out, but it's a deep conference.
Yeah, it's unbelievably deep.
So they have a lot of high-caliber bowl games, that conference for sure.
Oh, there will be a ton, dude. And I fully expect at the end of the season, after bowl season's done, like we look at the record for all these schools, the SEC, and I fully expect them to run the table. And, I think that they will probably win every single bowl game that they're in because they're just that much better than these teams. Their records are going to take hits because they have to play each other. And the one thing that I always used to lean back on with the SEC, they didn't have any quarterback play. You get Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's been like the ultimate grinder. I know his stats aren't perfect, but like if you watch the guy play, he's the ultimate look in his eye. He's the ultimate grinder of any football team. Tua Tagovailoa, like I don't even have to talk about that. Georgia Taumau, the quarterback at Ole Miss. I mean, he puts up like 50 points on everybody that's not Alabama. Drew Lock, he's going to be a top 10 pick, and he's playing for a team that hasn't even won in the conference yet. Jake Fromm, I mean, 5-star recruit. Jared Stidham, he's going to go into the NFL next season. Like, I don't know where he's going to get drafted, but he will get drafted. Nick Fitzgerald, he just passed Tim Tebow for the most rushing yards by a quarterback in SEC history. And you have Kyle Shermer, who's playing on Vandy, who's a very, very good quarterback. And then Fleet, it blows my mind. Like, these teams all finally have quarterbacks, and we see what happens whenever SEC schools get quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, when the other team's not scoring and you can score,
Yeah,
it's a pretty good recipe.
Yeah, and then the Mond, I can't remember his first name. I think it's like Kyle Mond, quarterback at A&M. He threw for like 400 yards against Clemson. So, like, I know it was a loss, but still, like, they have quarterbacks now, and it is scary. Absolutely scary. Leighton, are you all hands on deck? 2 teams out of the SEC should get into the playoff.
Should they? Yes, absolutely. We talked about best conference, top teams should get in. Will they? I still don't think they will, because Clemson isn't going to lose the game. I can't see Notre Dame losing the game. And if Michigan wins out, highly Michigan out there, especially with Alabama playing LSU this Saturday.
Yeah, here's a very likely scenario. Look at those 4 teams: Alabama, LSU, Florida, and Georgia. Let's assume Alabama goes undefeated. Then they'd make the SEC championship, so that would put LSU at 2 losses because they play in the regular season. And then Florida and Georgia play this week, so one of them is going to lose and have 2 losses. And then the winner of that probably goes to play Alabama in the championship. So if Alabama beats them, they all have 2 losses, and they're probably not.
Oh, they should get in.
But that's a likely scenario.
Yeah.
Why they won't, because the committee isn't going to give a team 2 losses until the playoff over, Clemson and 1 and none, Notre Dame with 1 and none. Well, maybe Notre Dame might have 1 and be out.
So
Like Michigan with 1. If Michigan loses the game and still somehow wins the Big Ten championship game, I think we're going to be forced to put them in.
Best case
Regardless of
scenario
what happens.
would be for Kentucky to somehow win out, and then one of these other teams in the East win out, and then just not make the championship, and then you probably have an easier way into the...
Let me ask you that. Let me just give you a hypothetical scenario. So let's say Florida picks up the win this week, and they run the table. Alabama, they beat LSU, and then Florida beats Alabama in the conference title game. So you have LSU sitting there with 2 losses, didn't even get to play in the title game, in the SEC title game. How can you leave them out whenever you have Florida, who has been a freaking train all season, 1 loss, who just beat Alabama, and your only losses for LSU are 2 teams that are in the playoff. I don't see how you can keep that team out, especially whenever they beat every single good team you could possibly imagine this season. They drummed Georgia, they drummed Miami, they just beat Mississippi State. I would not. This is the one season I think that I would not be mad if they put 3 SEC schools in it.
Today, well,
I won't be mad because this conference has been so dominant, dude. 32-5, 32-5.
We'll just have to see. It's tough though. Clemson, I think, can play with any of these teams still. I think they go out and beat Bama.
Well, that would be my one team that probably sneaks in.
That's tough. A lot's gonna be determined. We're not even gonna. This scenario might not present itself because of how these games turn out.
A week from now, we'll all be a moot point. But
it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I am very excited. I think the next 2 weeks. Obviously, we have the Florida-Georgia game this weekend. Then we have the Bama and LSU game next week. So we'll know a lot more then.
Where's the first college football playoff ranking come out?
Ooh, it should be soon.
I thought of it in week 9.
Yeah, it might be after this week. Hopefully, they'll hold off until Alabama plays LSU because that'll tell us a lot more.
Okay.
So guys, Tua Tagovailoa. I finally figured out how to say his last name. I like to make it a little jingle so I remember it. Tua Tagovailoa. You like that?
Life is JK, buddy.
Yeah, that's how I remember. But guys, Heisman, obvious, right?
Barring injury.
Yeah, barring injury. Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray lost. Dwayne Haskins now lost. It's going to go to the quarterback. Yeah.
Hey, he's come out of a couple games early.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't played in the fourth quarter. He has not taken a snap in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, not once.
So
his stats are a little deflated because of that. But
you want to hear a pro tip?
You almost can't hold it against him, though.
Yeah.
Dude, I look at the spread, so A key to college football this season: always bet on the first half spread for Alabama because they kill people. Like they've just been annihilating people. I've seen spreads this year: first half spread 19.5, the game spread 28.5. Because they know that Jalen Hurts is going to come in and the offense is going to slow down drastically. That is not even a made-up stat. 28.5 for the game, 19 for the first half.
Wow, okay.
That's crazy.
Betting tips from Drake.
Also, a little stat with Tua. He has, as far as quarterback rating, he's 50 points higher than everybody in college football except for Kyler Murray. So that's crazy. 50 points higher. He's like 230-something. And like a perfect quarterback rating is like 150. That's insane.
It is.
So a little thing that I noticed with the rankings this week, Diesel, I know this one's going to hit a little home for you. I noticed it from last week. Florida was ranked behind UCF. Florida had a bye week. UCF goes out there and takes care of business against Eastern Carolina. Florida actually leapfrogged them. Florida jumped from 11 to 9 just because, Ohio State had to come out and they couldn't move UCF above 10. Do you guys think that there's a little bit of a problem there?
Well, you see, Drake, I have the answer to you why it happened. Do we hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Florida did not lose. Obviously, I don't know why. LSU won. We're in the Florida country now. Ohio State lost to Purdue. They're going to be in the big top 10 anymore. And UCF only won by 27.
With a backup quarterback, though.
Add those up, they equal Florida jumping UCF.
Do they go off the AP poll? Is that the main one that determines these rankings right here?
Yeah, AP poll.
So maybe, this might be stretching, but maybe the Associated Press and CBS are tight together, and money's a big issue, and 2 top 10 teams playing is a lot easier to market or makes more money than 11-7.
I like that, actually.
Or 12-7.
I like that, actually.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
But I can't think of a logical football reason.
Yeah, no, because, like, if you get like a 10-7, it's harder on the eyes than a 7-9. So that really has to be the only reason. I think you actually hit the nail on the head there. And I like that. Just kind of playing into the dumb football minds of America. That's good. Purdue. Guys, I called it. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Leighton, how many times have you heard me say that?
3 weeks in a row.
Pulled off biggest win of the college football season. Probably biggest upset that you guys have seen this season.
Definitely.
It didn't just win. Absolutely throttled Ohio State. Do you think this hurts the chances of the Big Ten actually getting a team into the college football playoff?
I think it does. Because Penn State has 2 losses now. Ohio State, that's a bad loss to have.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's a terrible loss. They cannot have Michigan lose a game. Michigan all but has to win the championship game for them to have a chance to get a team in.
I mean, it definitely hurts their chances. If Ohio State is still undefeated, it's going to take a 1-loss Big Ten champion to get in, I think. And obviously, if they had 0 losses, they'd have a better chance of ending up with 1 right now.
Yeah.
At the end, it puts them with their backs against the wall, and it puts Michigan with their back. Someone has to play perfectly.
Yeah, I think that we're sitting in a position where like the cards have to fall perfectly now at this point just to get the Big Ten in. I think the cards have to fall perfectly. And if you look at the Purdue loss, I mean, I think it would be a lot easier for the committee to sit down and say, Purdue won on like a last-second field goal, but it was from the opening snap. Purdue just dominated them. I mean, they completely dominated them. Every single time that Ohio State got in the red zone, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't score. And they had to settle for field goals every single time. And Purdue just outmanned them. And they looked faster on the field, which is odd. I think Rondale Moore's I think he has a chance to win a Heisman potentially, which is odd saying that about a Purdue guy. He's an absolute stud. But I think unless it is Michigan or Ohio State who just completely run the rest of the table, I mean, Iowa could sneak back in there if they are able to run the table. I think Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio State, one of those 3 have to run the table in order just to get in. A little side note here, Nick Bosa declared that he was not going to be playing for the remainder of his time at Ohio State. He was going to pull out due to an injury and just prepare for the draft. You guys like that move?
Yeah, I do, honestly. Like, why come back week, 12, 13 for a bowl game and just getting re-injured and just later, since the draft stock, that's all rehab he's done. Why risk re-injury for a game you're not getting paid for? We talked about last year, past couple of years, Chris McCaffrey, Fournette, they skipped the bowl games. The year when Jalen Clowney went out, he showed a whole lot of lack of effort. This is the same thing. He's just skipping, 5, 6, 7 games and not bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough to fault him because it's like life-changing money he's going to get. But if he did get hurt, I don't think that would really change it too much anyways. I don't know. I feel like when you're drafting somebody, part of you wants that guy to just be a gamer and want to go get it. But then you look at J.J. Watt, he's that way, and he's like they're just trying to heal him every year.
Yes, I agree with that. That's a perfect scenario.
So, I mean, it's, if he gets 3 more healthy years in the NFL, it's probably worth it for him.
Yeah, I agree. I can't fault him. I've been on here saying how, I don't even fault guys for sitting out of a bowl game healthy. You look at Jake Butt, what happened with him, Jalen Smith, like, he comes back, re-injures himself, falls out of the first 15 picks, doesn't get that guaranteed money, like, he's going to look back at that.
He's fine now,
yes.
But, he lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money, and he can re-injure himself before the contract's up and still get that money back.
Yeah, because it's not like this guy's a borderline top 10 pick. Like, he is Mel Kiper's number 1 player on the board. Mm-hmm. So it is...
And going from, like, less than $10,000 of income to millions of dollars at once is... that'll change your life. Absolutely.
I don't fault him at all. And, like, his brother was piping into his ear. Like, Joey had that long...
Still out.
Yeah, he's out now because he's injured. But whenever he first came into the NFL, he had that long holdout because he wanted his money. Like, he knew what the important part was of playing in the NFL. So, he's obviously coming from a family who... They're a pretty smart group of people, like, in his ear telling him, and his brother's experience with this, so you can't blame him. Mm-hmm. You can't. So, guys, we'll talk a little bit about some of the games this weekend. Obviously, we talked about the big matchup in the SEC. So we'll start it off hot with the SEC showdown. Number 9, Florida, takes on number 7, Georgia. The game will actually be in Jacksonville. Georgia opened as a 7-point favorite. Guys, who's going to win this game?
I'm going with Georgia. I did a good game, but I think Georgia can get it right and be a close game, but Georgia.
I'm going to go with Florida as a homer first, but then I can kind of rationalize it. I think Georgia hasn't really been tested and succeeded at all this year. They haven't beaten a top 25 opponent. Florida's either 2-1 or 3-1 against the top 25, so it's like they don't really win in the same way either time. But I know they're going to bring tons of pressure on defense. It's just what they've done all year. And Georgia's going to try to run the ball. And if they can't get a ground game going, if they can't get the ground game working, I don't think they're going to be able to pass. I don't know. Part of me is held back because Florida's won like 5 in a row. And in the first year with Dan Mullen, I feel like maybe 6 is too. This might be a game they just can't win. I don't know. But the fan in me definitely wants them to win. I think they're just as good as Georgia, though. I don't think Georgia's been tested.
Yeah, I think I do agree with you that this is one of the games that Georgia can lose. Like, Georgia's a very good team. They're not going to lose to too many teams. This is a game they can lose. I've thrown out the stat before that whenever Georgia is forced to throw the ball and actually have more yards in the air than on the ground, they lose. Like, the 3 games that they've been held under 130 rush yards, they've lost in the last 2 seasons. And I think Florida is the kind of team that can do that. You saw them do it against LSU, and whenever they forced Joe Burrow to make throws in crunch time, they were in trouble. Joe Burrow had his 2 only interceptions of the season then, and things got out of hand, and Florida ended up winning. But I'm almost back to what you said, Diesel, with the is it too much to ask for with Dan Mullen as his first-year head coach at Florida? And I think it is. I think Florida is 1 season away from winning this game. And I do think Georgia is going to win this game, but there's no way I'm going to touch that 7-point spread because Florida, I can draw a route to victory for Florida.
I have no idea. It's so hard for me to put an outcome on it, to predict an outcome for this one.
Yeah, no, and it's been that way for SEC games all season.
Could totally go either way, and it's, especially the fact that they're college athletes. It's not like they're not professionals. People can just totally not show up.
I came up with an idea for this game. You know how every game has a trophy? Have you noticed that in college
A
football?
lot of games do have trophies.
Yeah, every game almost has a trophy. They need to just come up with a line, like an actual trophy that's just a line for the Florida Georgia line game. You guys like
Oh
that?
my God.
Do you think the
That's-
FGL House could get into that?
I'd say they
Oh, I'm
probably
sure
keep
they'd play at the
going.
game if that's what it meant.
Yeah,
They would take that
They
check.
play at halftime and everything.
I'm all in on that. I think they should get FGL out
What
there.
color is the line?
You can make it like half red and half orange. That'd be kind of cool.
All right.
I'm all in on the line game, though, the FGL game. So in the Big Ten, Diesel, I'm going to go ahead and pat you on the back. You actually had Iowa making it to the conference title game in the Big Ten. They've looked phenomenal all season. They are ranked 18th in the nation. They will be taking on Penn State. Penn State's ranked 17. Iowa is a 5-point dog. Guys, who's going to win this game?
I'm going to take Penn State. Might not cover the spread, but being at home, Penn State, I still feel like they're a very good team. They covered some losses early. Haven't put that great sense, but still a good team. I would travel Penn State.
I'm going to stick to my guns. It took them a little while to get ranked, but I'm going to stick with Iowa winning it. I still think they're going to go to the conference championship.
Yeah, I kind of look at this game almost like last year with Ohio State. Ohio State got housed by Iowa, and it was at Iowa. Iowa's just a weird place to play, I think. And for a team like Penn State, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with how slow Iowa plays, if that makes any sense. Like, they're going to slow them down to death and make this just like an ugly football game and find a way to win, which I really think Iowa's going to do. I think to beat Iowa, you have to beat Wisconsin, and that's the only team that's been able to beat Iowa this season. Like, you have to play slower than Iowa in order to beat Iowa. And I think this is a game that Iowa actually wins. Penn State, they came in with those high hopes to be the national champions. Like, they were actually in the running for it. You get a couple losses, and now the guys aren't playing as hard. I mean, we have to think these guys are college football players. In Iowa, they're just happy to win these games. Iowa wants to win these games, and I'm going to go with Iowa for that simple fact. Number 14, Washington State. Mike Leach has got these boys rolling on all cylinders. Last week, actually pulled out a play call. It was a run play where the center was on the right hash, and the whole rest of his line was on the left hash. I love Mike Leach. They're ranked 14th. They take on Stanford. Stanford is a 3.5-point favorite. Guys, who's going to win?
Tough game. I love Stanford. I love Bryce Love. I was at Stanford at Washington State. They just look better. They look like a really good team. Basically all season, especially the past 4 or 5 weeks, though.
I'll be honest, I don't follow this conference as hard as other ones, but I'm going to go Stanford to the sheer fact that they're at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Washington State. Washington State's been throwing the ball all over the field. Their quarterback's rolling. He has the potential. If he wins this game, he's probably going to get invited to be a Heisman candidate. I think he was, last I checked, was leading the NCAA in pass yards. Stanford looked very, very susceptible to the pass whenever they played Oregon. I'm actually going to go with Washington State. A lot of questions about Bryce Love with health, so I think Washington State actually wins this game. So, guys, a little top 25 upset alert. Give us a team that's ranked that's going to go down.
I'm going to go with Texas. They're playing at Oklahoma State. There might be just told to a fall on this, but I still don't have faith in Texas' team. Mainly on the offensive side of the ball. Then Oklahoma State comes out, puts up some points. Texas can't answer all the points they put up. Oklahoma State wins in about a high-scoring game. I'm talking in the 40s or 30s.
I've got Kentucky. I actually looked at the Texas game when I was going through the schedule for this week, and I thought about that one for a while. But I've got Kentucky against Mizzou. I think Mizzou can beat them. I just don't think Kentucky threw 3 passes last week. I don't think they're gonna be able to keep up and score enough points to win on the road.
Yeah, I think Drew Lock is one of the best quarterbacks in that conference. I'm going to give them the edge. My top 25 pick that's going to be going down as an upset. Technically, Mizzou is favored in this game, which might make a lot of people's eyes open up. Whenever you're looking at the top 12 team in the nation playing an unranked team who is still yet to win an SEC game, I think Mizzou is actually the team that finds a way to get a top 25 win this week. So, guys, college football lock bet of the week. Where are we going?
Texas A&M. They did 2.5 points at Mississippi State. I know Mississippi State's tough, talked about it earlier, but I think the A&M team would come in there and actually beat them, so I like them with the spread and with the money line.
Baylor versus West Virginia, the over.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I absolutely love that. Is it 110 or what are we looking
I
at?
couldn't find the actual number when I was looking at it this
It
morning.
doesn't matter.
But
In your head, what is it?
both teams are averaging over 30 points.
This will be a blow. This will be just an absolute
it's gonna
shootout.
be yeah.
I love that bet. I'm actually going to go with Syracuse beating NC State. NC State's ranked, so you could throw this in as a top 25 upset alert. Syracuse in the Carrier Dome, 5-0. I know you're going to look at the game last week, say they only beat North Carolina in overtime, but when college kids come off of the bye week, they're typically pretty rusty. You look at the NFL, and you got guys like Drew Brees. He's 10-1 off the bye. College kids are a little different. I think Syracuse is the better team, especially in the Carrier Dome, where they've been phenomenal the last few seasons, especially under Eric Dungey. Eric Dungey is probably the best college player in this game on Saturday, and I think Syracuse actually pulls this off. So, guys, before we get to darts, we'll go back to a little bit of NFL talks. We had some breaking news today with Amari Cooper. We'll talk about 3 guys here because there's one that's been traded and 2 that could potentially get traded before the deadline, and they're all big names. Amari Cooper going to Dallas for a first-round pick. The Raiders potentially could have more first-round picks next season than wins this season. They're on pace for that right now.
Yeah.
So, guys, what do you think about this trade?
I mean, often for the Raiders, they got probably a top 15 pick from Amari Cooper, who is owed $13 million next year. It's great for them. The Cowboys, I don't know what the hell they're thinking.
No.
I'm not doubting Cooper's talent. He's definitely talented, but he's going to a less accurate quarterback, a worse passing offense, and just, I don't know what they're expecting out of him to go in there and do with Dak and Zeke.
I don't know. The Raiders, they're just trying. Their goal, it seems like, is to stash first-round picks. That's all they care
Yeah,
about.
John Gruden's trying to increase
They're
his
like,
shelf
we're
life.
gonna change cities, and we're gonna have tons of first-round picks. But for the Cowboys, their division is so up in the air on who's going to win. Do you think the Redskins are going to consistently... do you think they're going to be like a 12-4 team? Probably not.
No, I watched them on Monday night against the Saints.
And I don't know. The Cowboys definitely are lacking at wide receiver. And I would almost argue that Dak is... He might be more accurate than Carr at times. I don't know. I've seen Dak... I don't know. I'm not sold on him being a bust yet. Change of scenery might be good for him. I think. What do they have to lose? A first-round pick, but...
Yeah, but he might take this trade, though. Right now, they're 3-4. They have to go... If it was 7-2, they'll be 6-10. Make your playoffs. Do you think they go 7-2 now?
10-6.
Yeah, with Amari Cooper. Do you think he changed it that much?
Do you think... But this is a division that probably more times in the last decade than any other, people have gotten in at 9-7.
Yeah, that's true, and that's probably what's going to be the case this season.
So 6-3 seems a little more doable. They could probably be... They could be on the other side of 500 now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's their defense looks better than it's been.
Oh, their defense is stout this season, which is a huge surprise.
I wonder... I do kind of wonder what would have happened if Des Bryant was just there from the start, if any of these games would have flipped or gone a different way, or if the offense would look any better. But
Yeah.
hard to say.
I think for the Cowboys' perspective, they're just trying to make teams respect it. You know what I'm saying? Right now, are you respecting Michael Gallup and Tavon Austin?
Did you see about a guy make that catch yesterday in the end zone?
I know that, but that was like a flash in the pan. We've had 2 flashes in the pan, and one was in the preseason.
He's not ready to be a number one, and maybe Cooper's not a number one, but he can try a little. He can do a better job. He's a more serviceable one than.
Yeah, you look at this team, they went out and got Allen Hurns thinking that they solved every problem that they had. They drafted a wide receiver. Things could not be worse for the Cowboys right now as wide receiver. I mean, they have Cole Beasley as their leading wide receiver this season. I think they have a lot of problems. I don't think Amari Cooper's going to fix it, but I think that he's going to help. And I don't know if it's going to be just his production, because I don't know his production's going to go up at all. But I think it's just the fact that teams have to respect that, you have a guy like Amari Cooper out wide, and we might not be able to stack the box completely against Ezekiel Elliott. Like, obviously, this team's going to turn around and hand it off to Ezekiel Elliott 25 times every single game. Like, that is the recipe to success. I don't care who you have at wide receiver. But I think that they're just hoping that adding him at least, lightens the load for Zeke.
And do you think he sees different coverage in this offense than maybe he would have in Oakland?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that might be an immediate way for him to have some production. Maybe that changes over the weeks.
Yeah, because you're going from a team that runs a 50-year-old Marshawn Lynch 14 times a game to Ezekiel Elliott, who is going to touch the ball 25 times. So I would imagine that he's going to see something different. I think this is either going to go one or two ways. I don't see this being a mediocre pickup. I either see Amari Cooper basically fixing every single problem, or this team's just going to be terrible this season.
And wasted a
wasted a first-round pick. I like the move for the Raiders, though. I really do. I've really never been on Amari Cooper. I don't think he's that good, but he's better than what they have.
I'm very curious to see what the Raiders do with all these picks.
Oh, they'll...
That'd be good.
John...
Do you think they're in the quarterback market in the first round?
You have to be.
In the first round, though?
Yeah, trade Derek Carr.
With three of them, I feel like you have to.
I have a feeling he wants to trade Derek Carr and sign a vet. Like, that has been John Gruden's MO.
The MAC picks, are the MAC picks different years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll have two this year. Or no, they'll have three with their own.
Yeah, they have three now. They're going to have more first-round picks
and then
than
two
wins.
the next year, yeah.
But one thing about Derek Carr, and move on. I don't even trade Derek Carr, because when he traded Khalil Mack, he said that he didn't want the highest paid player on the team to be a defensive player. He wanted to be the quarterback. And who are you going to pay?
No, but I don't think that that's John Gruden's future. John Gruden, back whenever he was with like Tampa Bay and the Raiders, like his MO was always just get me vets, get me guys that know how to run systems, and I'm going to make it work. He's never been a young talent guy. I mean, he traded away potentially his two best players.
Which is almost ironic that he got that
picks
job
out of it.
Coaching those rookie quarterbacks when he was not a head coach.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, no, that is hilarious, actually. But it's weird how they're wanting to build the team now and acquire picks, because John Gruden, that's never been his MO.
Well, see, going into the season, John Gruden probably had two plans. Plan A and Plan B. Plan A's on the board the whole time. At this beginning, he goes, all right, pull out Plan B, hit the button on his desk, secret door opens behind him, Plan B. Trade Amari Cooper, trade X, trade B, trade Y.
Yeah, no, Plan B was just destroy the roster.
Yeah.
And he's well on his way to do that, and I think he's actually done it. So two other guys, two veterans that are out there being mixed with trades. Patrick Peterson and Demaryius Thomas both look like they could possibly be traded. Patrick Peterson has actually came out and said he wants to be traded. On the other side of the coin, Demaryius Thomas, the team has actually been actively shopping him. I guess with the emergence of Cortland Sutton, they're happy with that. Guys, which of these two do you see getting moved, and where would be potential suitors for these teams?
Patrick Peterson, he said he was a guy that really bad. I think they trade him just out of respect. And the Chiefs, I'm the Chiefs, I'm going to get him. Basically, get whatever it takes at this point, because
Absolutely.
What's the issue is obvious in Kansas City is the defense. But Demaryius Thomas, I don't think he would trade, because I can't think of a good fit for him, or a team that would trade a top 3 or 4 pick for Demaryius Thomas.
I don't know if they would be asking for a 4 or 5, or 3 or 4. I could see them getting away with a 5. I could see them being happy with that, because if they're actively shopping him, like they kind of just want to redo the roster a little bit, and they're not willing to give up Emmanuel Sanders, I think they would be okay with a 5th. I'm not so certain where.
Carolina.
You look at this.
I think it was Carolina.
Carolina would probably be a good fit.
Yeah,
I think Carolina would be the best fit.
You think, though, if Dallas would have just not lost a first-round pick and given up a 5th and just thrown him in the offense, that would have been an upgrade, too.
That would have been a huge upgrade.
That might have been the better fit.
I think you're right.
Jerry Jones knows Cooper's fast. That's the whole deal.
I don't know. I'm on the fence with this. I think Patrick Peterson, I think the two places he should go, either Kansas City or to New Orleans. I mean, he did go to LSU. Like, that would kind of bring things full circle for his career. They obviously are in need for a lockdown corner. And Kansas City, the defense couldn't slow down a fifth-grade team that wasn't led by Andy Dalton. So I think that those would be two great places. And Leighton, I think you said it best. I think that Carolina would be a good fit for Demaryius Thomas. And if not Carolina, what about the Eagles?
Yeah, do you say the Eagles for Patrick Peterson?
No, I think the Eagles for Demaryius Thomas.
I think anyway, Patrick Peterson. The Eagles have awful cornerbacks, and Doug Peterson wants to be aggressive. He wants to trade guys, he wants to bring guys in. That's why on Jay Ajayi, Super Bowl.
I wish that the Steelers would. Well, I don't know. There's a 0% chance the organization would trade the pick.
That would be a great fit for
But
Patrick
God,
Peterson.
if they could replace Artie Burns, and if they could, there's no way they're going to sign his option at the end of the year. But if they had Peterson and Joe Hayden at corner, I would feel so much better.
And honestly,
on
I
defense.
think that would be a great fit because, like, this team needs to win a Super Bowl with Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Big Ben. And the time has come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has come to an end. And if
Yeah.
you get Patrick Peterson out there to completely shut down a number one wide receiver,
That
let
helps
him
your
shadow.
chances,
I mean,
yeah.
dude, if they let him shadow and Joe Hayden was on everybody's number two, how great would you feel about that, being a Steelers fan?
It would be nice. They've had to have Joe Hayden go back to shadowing people, and it's worked. It's been more effective than Artie Burns getting the one sometimes.
Yeah, but could you? I mean, dude, him at the two, like,
Oh, that'd be great.
I think that would just be awesome for the Steelers. So, guys, let's do a little dart. Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby. This week, we got inspired. We've been doing the Celebrity Deathmatch edition. This week, the Rockets and the Lakers sparked some interest for us to bring it back. So, in case you guys aren't familiar how it works, we are going to throw the darts at the board. Each one will represent a different player, and we will put them in a hypothetical fighting situation, which they tried to do this week, and we will decide who the winner will be. Leighton C., producer, your throw.
Just so everybody knows, we only have 10 players listed. Okay, I'm not going to give you Marquise Chris versus Ivan Zubac. I'll also round to the nearest player opposite team. So if throw one is LeBron James, throw two will be a Rocket player.
Okay, so I like it. Leighton C., your throw. And we have a 12.
A 12 is James Harden.
And we have a 20.
A 20 is Lance Stevenson.
Ooh,
Well,
I think this one's easy.
Yeah,
think no one
Lance
knows
is
this
whooping
one.
that ass.
Yes.
I just watched the fight happen in Staples Center last week. James Harden stood idly by and watched it all go down. Part of me's upset that Lance Stevenson wasn't involved at all, we talked about earlier, but had he been that close to it, I bet he would grab and touch somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So just off the sheer fire in these guys' souls, I'm going to go Lance Stevenson.
A big part of James Harden's basketball game is figuring out when someone's hand is in his shooting lane and trying to get fouled on a three. He's not a very, like...
He's going to take a lot of punches.
Lance Stevenson, I feel like, would just scrap and whoop his ass.
Yeah, no, Lance, he's a Cincy guy. Obviously kind of like an enforcer. You know what he reminds me of? Do you know how, like, hockey, they call, like, the guy the goon? I think that's what Lance Stevenson is. Like, the guy that just comes off the bench just to get in everybody's head and just immediately try to fight people.
That's the same thing. Yeah, that is.
That's Lance Stevenson's NBA
He
career.
blows from LeBron's ear. He's having 10 points a game.
Yes, if Lance Stevenson, and he's a big dude. Like, he is surprisingly a large guy. He mops him. He mops him.
easy.
James Harden, like, he has the beard. It kind of looks tough. Like, you usually never get bet against a guy with a mohawk. But the guy's usually not fighting a guy like Lance Stevenson. I think Lance Stevenson makes quick work of it. I think this is probably 20, 30 second fight. But I have Lance Stevenson easy destruction.
Let's go all on Lance Stevenson.
All three in agreement. Clean sweep. I think we could have had Lance Stevenson against any Rocket player and he'd have won.
Yeah.
That's a good chance.
PJ Tucker stands a chance.
I mean, the guy wasn't even scared of LeBron.
Actually,
and
I know.
LeBron's like the biggest human being in the
One guy
world.
on here he probably stepped down from Clint Capella.
No way. We're forgetting that this is the same guy that blew in LeBron's ear and, like, went after LeBron, like, smacked him in the head. Like, if you're not scared of LeBron, you're not scared of anybody.
Let's be honest.
He probably-
Nazir Muhammad punked LeBron James. So let's just get that out there real quick.
That's true. I'm going Lance Stevenson against anybody.
Yeah.
All right, Diesel, your throw. And we have a 7.
A 7 is Rajon Rondo.
I know where I'm going with this one. And we have a 13.
A 13 is Chris Paul.
Oh, wow. That works out well then. We almost had this. We almost had this.
We did have this for a second there. Yeah.
To me, it comes down to whether or not you can kick or not. Because if you can, Paul's gonna have a hamstring injury, and then it's easy work. It's slight work for Rondo.
Yeah, just a little leg kick, just to get him warmed up, and Chris Paul's going to go down. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, both these guys come in with injury issues, obviously, but I think Rajon Rondo's the kind of like grinder to get through that. You know,
Definitely seems tougher than Chris Paul does. Plus his punch actually seemed to do a little bit of damage. Like Chris Paul stepped back at least.
yeah, he threw
I
a
don't
slick
think-
little jab,
I don't think
dude.
Chris Paul's punch did a whole lot of damage though, Rajon.
He did spit on him though. That's kind of a. I don't know how I
did
feel
you-
about
It's a fire
that. move.
mentality.
Did you see the spit though? Mm-hmm. You did. It was weird. It wasn't like he
ran a
like.
mouthpiece.
Yeah.
It could have been like a Gleek thing from the mouthpiece.
But you don't think if you wore a mouthpiece for like 10 years straight, you'd learn to spit out of it, or spit with it in?
I don't know.
I don't know, dude. As much as
I
those
won't think
NBA
about
players
it.
have the mouthpiece out of their mouth, I feel like they don't even know how to wear a mouthpiece.
Yeah, I mean Steph Curry's throwing his all over the place. Like they're not really
Yeah.
into that often. Every foul that comes out, you hold it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he could go Steph Curry route and use it like as like a distraction, like a boomerang type thing, and throw it at Chris Paul.
He could.
We're not thinking about
It's a
that kind of
weapon.
stuff. So who do you have? Who do you think's going to win this?
Rondo.
Yeah, I think Rondo. Has Rondo ever actually been in a fist fight? I know him and Chris Paul hate each other.
Probably not on the
it
court.
seems
but
like 05. It could go back forever. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but
I'd be hard pressed to believe Rondo's never been in a fist fight outside of basketball.
yeah, on Hunter's Day, I'll Fletcher talk about this fight more and talk about the history between the two guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows all about it.
Oh yeah, Fletcher already had like that, like has a whole chapter on his like NBA book that he writes about these two hating each other, and he just added another little nugget in there.
I can't wait for that book to come out.
It's going to be good.
Comes out 2028.
And now my throw, and we have a 4,
Kyle Kuzma,
and we have a 2.
Clint Capella.
Ooh, this one's tough. I mean, Kuzma's a like solid dude. Like he is like
He's a solid dude.
he is like 100%
Can I see
solid
Clint
dude.
Capella?
Yeah, he's kind of lanky though.
He is linky, but he pulled in a fight.
He's lean. He's lean. Ooh,
James
man, this
lean,
is tough. Clint Capella. Where Clint Capella even come from?
Switzerland.
Okay, that actually decides the fate of this fight. I looked at it pretty close between the two. I mean, I think Kuzma's like more. He's got like the bigger body, but like Clint Capella has the reach. I've never met too many people from Switzerland that are really tough though. And Kuzma, he kind of reminds me of just like do it all grinder, just like tough guy. I saw him dunk this week against the Rockets. He kind of throws it down with some authority. I think Clint Capella. I don't know how tough the guy is because he's a 7-footer. He's supposed to be, kind of the enforcer of the Rockets, which the Rockets are looked at as a pretty soft team. I'm gonna go with Kyle Kuzma. I think Kyle Kuzma finds a way to pull that off. I think he's just got the more grit factor.
See, I felt looking at two guys. I felt Clint Capella is all grit. Like, he is like a Shaquille Noah level of grit.
He has all the grit that team needs. Other than PJ Tucker. He's not the PJ Tucker's the enforcer.
But no one else holds any grit at all on that team. So that's how I mean, Milwaukee's Chris. Does he hold any grit?
No, not like Clint Capella.
No. But so, I want Clint Capella. He's longer. He's bigger. He's grittier. Clint Capella.
I'm gonna go with Clint Capella. He's just size factor. I think he's just much larger. Maybe he's not in height, but I don't know. He looks a little bit crazier too. And
He does look. He kind of has that crazy eye. I think that would be probably our best fight on there because I think the other two would kind of be a wash. I'm kind of disappointed that we actually didn't get Melo. I was really wanting to pick against Melo. It didn't matter. Like we could be like Lakers water boy. He's going to be able to beat up Melo. I can promise you that. So Leighton, give us a little rundown on the results.
Our first match, we had James Harden versus Lance Stevenson. Lance Stevenson won by unanimous decision. Our second match, we had Rajon Rondo versus Chris Paul. We had Rondo won by unanimous decision. And our Main event of the night, we had Kyle Kuzma versus Clint Capella. Clint Capella won 2-1 for this decision.
All right. So, guys, we'll talk about that fight a little more. You had Ingram. He ended up getting 4-game suspension. Rondo got 3. Chris Paul got a 2-game suspension. We'll kind of talk about the fight a little bit, and we'll see. Do you guys think that those suspensions are fair?
What didn't make sense to me was, how did Brandon Ingram get the most games?
That's a very good
kind of
question.
thing you learn that in school, like high school sports. Second guy always gets caught.
Yes.
It's being the second guy of the fight that may make him the worst guy in the fight.
I don't know, man. Because whenever I watched it, I was like, well, yeah, like Ingram's probably going to get suspended. Like he threw the one punch, but like he did push James Harden, but he got a technical. Like that was the end of that. And I know he instigated the beginning, but like it was done after that until Rondo and Chris Paul. I feel like the guy who's most at fault got the least amount of suspension.
Yeah, I mean, but he's first in the NBA PA.
Yes, I think that plays a lot into it.
I feel like definitely on. So it's kind of like how all these big mogul guys, a lot of them get fined a whole lot. They don't go to jail ever.
Yeah, I think that this was one of those things where they're like, man, if we suspend Chris Paul for 5 games, we're going to have to hear about it at 6 meetings this offseason. Diesel, what were your thoughts on the fight?
I thought it was kind of cool that it happened in Game 3. It probably needs to because either Rondo's going to get hurt or Chris Paul's going to get hurt. They might not even play each other again the rest of the year.
Yeah, they won't see each other.
I hope they play in the playoffs. That would be something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how, based off of what happened, how any of the 3 would get a different suspension than any of the other ones. I figured it'd be like kind of a...
Yeah, just give them all 4 games.
Yeah. I thought they were all kind of at fault there.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe there are actually punches thrown in a game though on the court.
That's exciting.
That doesn't like. I saw the highlights and looked at Chloe. I'm like, that doesn't happen all the time,
No, it absolutely doesn't. I was actually excited about it. Like the last good one we had was Malice at the Palace. But fans got involved. I hate to see that kind of stuff. But whenever when the players just truly do not like each other, like Rondo, like Chris Paul, this was going to come to a head eventually. Especially now that they're in 2 of the top dogs in the West. So this was an inevitable thing. I am very, very bummed out that Chris Paul gets a 2-game suspension out of this. Because after the initial push by Ingram, which I don't blame Ingram. This is 100% is the NBA's fault that this fight even happened. When you have a guy like James Harden that you let get away with absolutely everything, like anytime he goes to the basket, he could make the same exact play that somebody else does that doesn't get a foul call, but he's going to get that every single time. He goes out there, he travels, he does stuff that is so frustrating to a player that they cannot do anything about. I mean, whenever you are guarding James Harden, you're either A, going to let him score, B, he's going to travel and he'll score, or C, you're going to end up getting a foul on something that's not a foul. So I think that this all goes back to the NBA's fault because every single time that this kind of stuff happens with James Harden, like the players are obviously frustrated. And you saw it with Ingram. Like Ingram had just had enough. Like you can only sit there and watch James Harden shoot so many free throws, take so many walks, and not get called until something like this happens. Like this was bound to happen. And then the guy who... I know he didn't actually do anything to start the fight, but he was pretty much the sole reason for it. James Harden, as soon as the fight broke out, he just stood there. He just stood in the back. So I think this all boils down to the style of play that James Harden gets away with. Do you guys agree with that at all, or can you see
we can't fault him for figuring out what's going to work and what's not. He just won an MVP off of it.
No,
but he does do a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, there were so many fouls where... Or not so many, but there were multiple times in that game someone would just have their hand extended when he was like in a triple threat basically, and he would just recognize it and he'd go pull up for a 3. He's no chance of making the 3, chance of even getting it off. He just knows 3 free throws are coming.
Yeah, I know. There was one time the guy was like the guy had got to the screen, stopped, and just put his hands down, and James Harden just reached out, hit the guy's hand, and threw up a 3, just like no chance it was going to go in, and he got a foul call. So. I don't blame James Harden for doing this because obviously it works, but I think it's the NBA's fault for letting this go so much, and I think that something will change out of this. I really do. I don't think that we're going to see as much, ticky-tack stuff. I think they're going to call that a little closer. I'm not going to be surprised if something does happen with this because I think that's the real problem. So, guys, we'll talk a little bit. Actually, Diesel, let's talk about the doghouse since we got you here today. So, guys, in case you're not familiar with the segment, Diesel basically puts somebody into his doghouse, whether it be a team, organization, player, coach, can be anybody. Diesel, who's in the doghouse this week?
So we got 3 this week. The first 2 are really fun for me. First one's Jacksonville Jaguars. Since week 3, they've scored 65 points as a team, giving up 111. They're down 46 points in those 3 weeks. Since week 3, they're on average losing by 9.2 points per game. They're just getting waxed every single week. And then everybody knows what Jalen Ramsey said. Everybody knows how cocky he was. He talked all that shit about other QBs, and yours was ultimately the worst one, minus whoever the Bills play. And so that's Jacksonville. Second one, does anyone remember this quote? "We're not the Cubs. I firmly believe we have better players. No hangover coming."
I love that quote.
And then the Astros proceed to lose 3 straight home ALCS games and end their season after their World Series title in the exact same spot as the Cubs did. Again, I said it in the beginning of the show, why are people putting these targets on their back? What do you have to prove?
Dallas Keuchel, right?
That's who it was, yes. And then the last one is a hometown thing, SIU football. They are 1-6 after their homecoming loss. So on the year, they're giving up 42 points per game. That's absurd. But then you look at offense, and they're averaging 32, just over 32. So the athletes are there. If you can score 32 points a game, you got some pretty good players somewhere.
Yeah, especially with what they did against Ole Miss.
It sure seems like a coaching problem.
Yeah.
It seems definitely, yeah.
It may be.
It doesn't seem like an athlete problem for that conference. It seems like a coaching problem. But that's who's in the doghouse this week.
I absolutely love busting out the Astros quote because, I mean, he did exactly what Jalen Ramsey did. Like, just throw the target on my back because it's so hard to win a World Series. And, like, anything short, you're going to be a meme. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, he could make it back to the World Series, losing Game 7, boom, the meme's there. Like, I don't get that at all.
Get going public with your goals, but don't take shots at other people.
Yeah, don't take shots at the Cubs for no reason.
When the thing on the other side that you have to complete is something some people don't do in their career.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Take for granted how hard you work to get there the first time.
I love that you brought that one up. So, guys, we'll talk. That will actually segue us perfect to some baseball. NLCS, Dodgers beat the Brewers in 7. Very wild series. We saw Wade Miley come out, pitch to the first guy of the game, immediately get pulled so we could start the next game. We saw Manny Machado try to, I don't know if it was try to hurt or just be a friendly tap on the ankle of Jesus Aguilar. Very, very wild thing. Guys, what did you see in this series that maybe impressed you by the Dodgers to ultimately win? And we'll talk a little bit about the Wade Miley and the Machado thing. So, first off, how were the Dodgers able to pull this off?
So I think both managers knew their strengths pretty well. The Dodgers' starting pitching played out a lot. That 24-year-old throwing like 98. What's it? Buehler?
Walker Buehler.
Yeah, that was impressive. And then a lot of people. Also, that Puig home run, that was electric.
You knew that was going to happen at some point.
The whole thing was great. But then the Brewers, a lot of people were giving Craig Counsell hell for like managing his bullpen so hard and playing all those matchups. It's like that's how they got there. If you wanted to have a starting pitching battle against the Dodgers, the series wouldn't have gone 7.
I feel like the people that are criticizing the Brewers didn't watch the Brewers in the regular season because that was the same team.
Yeah, and it's like the Brewers' starting pitching was not going to go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. It just wasn't happening. They were going to give up more runs. But I thought the Brewers used their bullpen pretty well. It's just sometimes it's how it goes, man. That was such a... Once we get that home run, it was over.
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could see it on everybody.
What about Justin Turner, man? Like, I feel like the series kind of shifted, and I think they said this was the 4th straight postseason where he'd hit a home run to take the lead. That's pretty crazy. Like,
he's a player.
He's clutch. Leighton, what'd you think about this series?
So, the series basically been 7 games. Thought we were going to do 7 games. I thought we were going to pull it out, though. But like Jay said, the Dodgers, they'll play their strength, starting pitching with the thing. He was right. They did make those moves all season long in the bullpen, playing the matchups. But in game 1, I would not have brought in Josh Hader, that early in the game up by 4 runs. Had the next 9 minutes, they lost that game. Wade Miley, I'm not sure how I feel about that whole deal. They both hit in the 3rd inning in game 7, like that one either. I feel like he almost got too analytical and too cute with it. Yes, it worked all season, but the arms are tired, just used in different spots. I don't know. But Manny Machado is a dickhead.
Yes, that's something we can all agree
Manny
on.
Machado.
I don't even know what the goal was there. Was he trying to kick it? I mean,
Just
if he was trying to stomp into his ankle, that was a really poor attempt. Was he trying to
Yes.
kick it off?
And if he was trying to kick him, just be an asshole.
Yeah,
Kick him for no reason.
I think it was one of those things whenever he hit the ball, he was so frustrated, he's like, I'm going to hurt Jesus Aguilar. And then halfway in the middle of his stomp, he realized shit, this is Jesus Aguilar. This guy could snap me in half anytime he wanted to. So I think it was a half-hearted attempt to hurt the guy until he realized who he was messing with.
Definitely no good intentions there.
No. And then for him to come out and say that he's not a dirty player, and then in the same week tell him that that hustling's not that important.
I saw Yelich, an interview with him, and he was not holding back talking about Machado. I think he might have dropped some F-bombs, called him a few names, but I like that.
No, I definitely like
So
it.
you call it for what it is.
Yeah, that was one of the few times I've liked Christian Yelich this season.
The last couple of months.
That's for sure. So, guys, we'll talk a little bit about the ALCS. Boston made quick work of the Astros, 5 games. Do you think that this was just Boston being this machine of a team that they've been all season, or do you think that the hangover had set in for the Astros?
I don't think the Red Sox were that much better than the Astros. Honestly, I'm not sure the Astros aren't a better team just because the position is so good. But talking about looks at the pond, basically all season long, how those winning games, you have to have Mookie hit, you have JD hit, you have to have a Tinga on base, and Bogarts hit. 3 of those 4 things happened one game in 5. JD hit, Betts hit, and Bogarts hit. But then, you get guys like Rafael Devers had that 3-run home run in Game 5. You have JBJ hit a freaking grand slam. That was the series right there. He hit that grand slam, that was it. And then another home run in Game 5, ALCS MVP. He batted 200 for the series. How many times do you see a series MVP bat 200?
Just clutch. Got the clutch gene.
You don't. It's the clutch that hit home runs and driving runs that matter. He had 9 RBIs in the series.
That's crazy.
And then the biggest fight is also in the bullpen. Joe Kelly, Matt Barnes, Ryan Fraser combined to allow 1 run.
Unsung heroes, dude.
In that series, and that was it. Oh, and Anthony Eovaldi. Fuck you, Alex Bregman. You don't post a video of somebody hitting expected back-to-back dingers off him the day before he throws against you. Game 5, took him out, 8th inning, 103-mile pitch. That was sweet.
Target on your back, man.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
do that? Why do that? That makes no sense to me. Diesel, what were your thoughts on the series?
It feels like the Red Sox year. It really does. I feel like the past couple of World Series, last year, then the Cubs World Series, and then probably even before that, it just something about the Red Sox. It feels like it's their year. They've been the best team all year. But then I look at the Dodgers kind of jumping forward a little bit, and I watched them last year go toe to toe with the Astros, hitting home runs, doing all the things. You don't know what's going to happen in the World Series. You really don't.
No, you don't. As far as the ALCS is concerned, Leighton, I think you hit it on the head, man. A lot of people wanted to come out and say that the Red Sox, they were just a top-heavy team, and then you watch these 5 games, it was all the ancillary pieces. Mm-hmm. The guys in the bullpen were showing out. Craig Kimbrell didn't even have his best stuff, and everybody else in the bullpen was just money this whole entire series. And then a guy like Jackie Bradley Jr., like you said, almost 2 RBIs a game. You don't see that in postseason performances unless it is a guy like the big studs, like a Mookie or like a JD Martinez. Everything fell into place. And even Benintendi making the game-saving play in left field. It was all ancillary talent for the 2 or 3 superstars that you have.
Like I said, with the exception of Game 4, all the wins we got seemed pretty easy. Game 4, I would thought a heart attack. After that game ended, huge sigh of relief, but then I laid in bed, and I could feel my chest, heart area actually ache a little bit. I thought I'd go to the hospital. But yeah, that is the biggest catch of my lifetime. Period.
That was fun to watch.
Yes, that was crazy.
That was the ballsiest play.
Well, hell,
I mean, he didn't even think about it. Didn't think about it once.
win
No,
the game.
not for-
I like it. Be aggressive.
That was great though.
Yeah, guys. So we have the stage is set for the Dodgers and the Red Sox. What are the keys in this series for each team to win?
Basically, what I said all season. The guys in Boston, like the top 4 guys, have to be on base. We have to have Christian Vasquez and Rocky Ray Jr. hit bottom of the order. A bullpen has to show up because we're gonna have at least I'm thinking it's gonna go 5 or 6 games. 1 or 2 times our starter's gonna blow up, and we're gonna have a bullpen come in and save the day.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on what happens in the two. Maybe what happens when Clayton Kershaw's on the mound. I think that's going to be very key. If they lose those games, if the Dodgers lose those games, they're really going to put themselves in a bind. I feel like if they win those 2 games, then they got. I don't know. Those games are going to be important. I feel like finding which guy in the Red Sox lineup is going to emerge is that, like it was JBJ last time. Is Betts going to go crazy? Is Martinez going to go crazy? Or none of them? Or all of them? It's whoever emerges there. I think is what's important.
Yeah, I think the only route that I can see the Dodgers winning this World Series is if Clayton Kershaw just goes like Madison Bumgarner in this series. Like, he comes out, has 2 phenomenal starts, just a complete bulldog, has 2 starts, comes in out of the pen 1 game. Like, it's going to take a full max effort from Clayton Kershaw because I don't know if anybody else on the Dodgers is capable of slowing this team down. Like, this team is so good. Like, you look at the run production that they had against the Astros, who have potentially the best pitching staff in MLB history. Like, you could make that argument with what they did in the regular season, setting the MLB record for most strikeouts in a season. I know it's a different era of baseball, but you could easily make that argument. I feel like that's the only way they can win. I feel like the Red Sox, top to bottom, are better. I think that the only key to this series that can turn it in the right direction for the Dodgers is just Clayton Kershaw.
I have one other thing to add. Kimbrel and how he pitches this series, I think, is going to be pretty crucial too. That could be the difference between being down 2-1 or being up 2-1, something like that.
Yeah. I'm picking the Red Sox to win the series, 5-6 games, but I'll tell you why the Dodgers are going to win this series.
Why? Pessimistic Red Sox fan. Everybody, turn up your ears.
Reason number 1: everybody and their brother are picking the Red Sox to win. That has not worked out well at all in recent history, except for the NBA Finals. Second reason why: the law is never listen to sports, but Drake, we use Peyton Manning as the example. What is the one thing Peyton Manning was missing in the GOAT argument?
Rings.
A second ring. He got it. So now the argument is take the whole lot. Who's the one legend in this series?
Clayton Kershaw.
What's he missing?
A ring.
Didn't get it last year, and now he's here again. I don't like that at all.
I also don't like a team in the World Series 2 years in a row and trying to win it. I feel like
that's tough.
I feel like that's a lot. I just feel like it's a lot of baseball in 2 years.
As a matter of fact, I think you said that like beginning of the season on one of the shows, Diesel, that you're with the Dodgers this season because they played so much baseball over the past 2 or 3 seasons. Even getting to NLCS in 2016.
But then you get to this point, 7 more games. What
That's all
does it
it is.
even matter?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll actually be a good World Series. My prediction, I think that the Red Sox are going to kind of do what they did with the Astros. I think it's going to be 6 games at most. I think they'll finish it off in 5. I think the Red Sox are probably, you could make the argument that they're the best team of the last 15, 20 years. I mean, just for how many wins they had in the regular season, like they were just dominant. They got swept 1 time in the whole entire regular season from the Indians. And the Indians, anybody could have gotten swept by the Indians because the starting arms are so good. They had only lost, how many series did they even lose during the regular season?
2 or 3.
I mean, you just don't see that in the MLB today. I think that the Red Sox are going to put easy work, probably 5 or 6 games. Diesel, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 6 or 7 games. I think the Red Sox, I think there's a chance they could be down in the series at like early on, either down 1-0 or down 2-1, but I think the Red Sox are going to win it. Good
Dodgers
chance.
in 5.
Good chance.
Leighton's going Dodgers.
Dodgers in 5.
This team's good, Leighton. The Red Sox are very good. So, guys, let's do, before we get to Leighton C's entertainment review, we'll go ahead and rattle off our Week 8 Saucy Six-Pack. And we'll start off with Thursday night. Two teams that surprisingly are 4-3. Pretty good Thursday night game. We have the Dolphins traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Who do we like?
Texans. Super Bowl chain keeps chugging along.
I like the Texans. They got a chance to kind of separate. They can make it. This is a big win if they get it.
Oh yeah, I think whichever team wins this is I'm gonna ride them into the postseason. I think it's gonna be the Texans. I hate taking teams on the road on Thursday night, and I just think that the Texans are all around better than the Dolphins. So little to look forward to Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Eagles take on the Jags in London. So it'll be a nice treat to ourselves on Sunday morning. Guys, who do we like?
Basically a home game for the Jaguars, but I'm going to go with the Eagles. Jaguars not look good at all.
I'm going to go with the Eagles because of Carson Wentz. I think that'll be the difference.
I'm going to go with the Jags. Blake Bortles has never lost in London. This is kind of like a thing. It's weird. Last year the Jags won 44-7. Like, they poured it on Baltimore. This is a routine thing for the Jags. Like, this is something that is built into their season every single year. They know how to handle it. They know how to, go over there, take care of business. I think that if this game was in Philly, if this game was in Jacksonville, I would take the Eagles. But since it's in London and it's a routine thing for the Jags, I'm going with the Jaguars. Ravens at Panthers. Guys, who do we like?
It's probably hard for me that we had to pick today, but I'm going to go with the Ravens. Cam Newton's a baller. We saw that yesterday when he scored 21 straight points in the fourth quarter. But I think the Ravens team is really good. Justin Tucker probably hasn't lost it, so I'm going with the Ravens.
I'm going to go with the Panthers. Panthers didn't look that great last week, but God, the fourth quarter was like they showed me enough there that I think they can pull this off.
Yeah, the Panthers are coming off of a huge win. I'm going to go with the Ravens just because I feel like the week prior to Mason Crosby making the game-winning field goal, he had missed 5 field goals, like his worst performance ever. Missing one extra point immediately makes it the worst game in Justin Tucker's NFL career. I'm going to pick the Ravens on a walk-off 50-plus yard Justin Tucker field goal. Just because that's how sports works.
All right.
So Browns at Steelers. Last time they battled to a tie. This time they no longer have Tyrod. So who do we like in this game?
I really picked Ty, but forgot that there's Tyrod. I'm going to go Steelers.
I'm going to go Steelers. If the line is under -7, I would hammer it.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to take care of business. I think this is the week that they get things right and kind of become the train that we thought they would be early in the season. Packers at Rams. Guys, this is the largest spread as Aaron Rodgers being an underdog. The Rams are favored by 9.
Well, I think the Rams, I think they'll kill that spread.
I'm going to pick the Rams. They were my biggest winner, not because of anything special they did last week, but they seem like they're killing everything in their path. I don't know what's stopping.
Yes, Diesel, but you're forgetting who's on the other side of that ball. Aaron Rodgers. I think that this is going to be one of those times, we've seen it twice this year, where everybody's like, well, Aaron Rodgers is pretty good. And I hate that. I hate seeing that. Whenever people are like, make a big deal about Aaron Rodgers being good. Like, guys, where have you been the last few years? The Rams have to lose eventually. Like, this team will not go 16-0. It's just so hard to do in the NFL. Coming off of a big win last week with the Rams, Packers, they were bye week this last week. Gives them a little more time to prepare. Gives Aaron Rodgers a little bit of time to get healthy. Hopefully Randall Cobb, hopefully for my pick. I don't want to see the Packers win though, but Randall Cobb should be healthy. Jamal Allison should be healthy. Like, they will have the full fleet of guys. I think the Packers are going to pull off the upset. I've seen Aaron Rodgers.
What kind of score do you think?
Oh, it's going to be a shootout, dude. I think it's going to be. We might see 4 punts this game. I would hammer the over in this game because obviously the Rams have the best offense in the NFL. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. Packers can't stop anybody. And it seems like Aaron Rodgers, whenever he needs to score, he scores. And I don't think that this Rams defense is that great. I really don't. I think that they're pretty good, but the way you beat Aaron Rodgers is with a guy coming off the edge. And you saw it with Khalil Mack, whenever Khalil Mack kind of took over that game with the Bears. And I don't think that the Rams have that. They do have Ndamukong Suh. Aaron Donald, two of the best in the game. But I think the Packers are going to find a way to win it just because Aaron Rodgers does stuff like this. You guys going to be on that over?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't care what it is. I think that I think it could be a game in the 40s.
I feel like the Buccaneers are going to respect the Rams' defense enough to make it like in the mid to low 50s. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I love it. Well, at a 9-point spread, man, it's going to be kind of lower than what we expect. So, guys, Saints at Vikings Sunday night. Potential to be the game of the year. What do we like in this?
Saints.
I think the Saints are kind of rolling too high. I think the Vikings are going to get like a signature win of the season kind of thing.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is going to be kind of a shootout. I think the Vikings defense is going to kind of revert to what they were at home last year. I like the Vikings to pull this off. I think this is going to be a great game, though. I'm just happy that we don't see the Giants or Cowboys. I'm just happy.
You're not
Not bad.
So, guys, it is our time to put the producer in the spotlight. Each week, Leighton C goes out, grinds, doesn't watch one movie, not 2 movies, not 3 movies, not 4. He watches them all. And he will break down a movie for you. And Leighton C, what do we have? 1 2 1 2 Pip's Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
This week I'm going to be First Man, but to the big point, last week I actually only saw one movie because of the LCS. This week, what am I going to do? I thought movies go because the World Series game's on. Can't miss out those.
Yeah, you're going to have to like pop in one of those VHSs, maybe a little Steven Seagal action from Shackelford.
We got a lot of soccer footage to go watching right now. But First Man, you don't know what it is. It's about the space race, about how we sent Neil Armstrong to the moon and basically land on it. It's about basically how the whole thing got started, about how people didn't want it to happen, could waste the money, people were dying, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a historian on this at all,
You know
but
where Neil Armstrong went to school at?
where do you go to school at?
Purdue. Got a signature win this week against Ohio State.
It's a sign. But that's not this at all. If this was accurate, this was a very good representation of a story. I feel like I'm now an expert on the whole space race deal because of this movie.
So was it a setup? Was it a setup job? Did we do it in like, was it a Hollywood setup gig or what?
I'll get to that in a second. I think my thoughts on that.
Do they talk about that at all?
They don't. They won't even believe that this actually happened.
Okay.
So it works out. Talks about Jamie Cedillo, who won Best Director for La La Land last year. He'll probably win again with this movie this year, which will be the second time ever someone's gone back to back. That's with being the Inarritu guy for Revenant and Gravity. And it's always Ryan Gosling, who I decided is not a very good actor in this movie.
What?
He is Keanu Reeves, but better looking.
No. Have you ever watched The Notebook?
I was gonna say he plays that way in every single movie. He never does.
So Danny McBride plays the same Kenny Powers guy every single movie, but is still great.
But Danny McBride is an appropriately rated actor. People call Ryan Gosling this.
What do you mean appropriate? He's like top
Liam
3.
Neeson got a little old too.
Danny McBride.
After Taken,
Yes. Oh
Liam
yeah.
Neeson was the same actor in everything ever.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's bad. They can't transition as well as Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire.
The difference is Neeson plays the same roles. Gosling plays different styles of roles, but he just has always the same. Like Keanu Reeves almost style to his acting, where he tried to create expression, but it's just not great expression. And he did good in this movie. He got nominated for it, but people want to say he's one of the best actors in the world, but he's not.
If you're a bird, I'm a bird. You've never watched that, have you?
I've seen the Notebooks a lot of times.
And you're going to try to
5.
tell me that Ryan Gosling's a bad actor?
I'm trying to tell you he's overrated.
He's properly rated. He's like top 5, up with Danny McBride, Gerard Butler, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
Who's the 5th on your list?
Ooh, that's tough.
And Drake's running actor he can name.
Yeah,
So
I'm
anyway.
down to 4. Top 4. Mount Rushmore style.
Not much, okay. So, First Man, though, excellent movie. Really, really good. We're going to get 2.6 dips. We're back-to-back movies to put 2.5 dips right now.
Yeah, that's actually
This is
impressive. I
really
think this is
rare.
the first.
First Man, not as good as Star Wars Born. Last week I thought this was going to win. Best Picture going away. After seeing this, though, I think Star Wars Born actually has a legitimate chance of getting it done.
Wow. Okay.
But on to my thoughts on the space race thing. Go outside. I know it's a full moon tonight. Go outside, look at the moon, and think, did we actually get somebody up there? See if you can actually convince yourself, yeah, we put somebody up there. That happened.
Yeah, if Patrick Mahomes threw him up there, I think he could do it.
That's
That might have been faster.
Yeah, it would have been a lot faster.
Patrick might have run there faster than Dan Space Show got there.
How long did it take?
I think it was 3 years, it said.
Wow.
Or it was 7 months.
7 months?
Yeah, 7 months. Something else was 3 years.
You imagine the longest car ride of your life? And then, like, that's a drop in the bucket. I mean, what's the longest you ever sat in a car for?
Mine's like
Man. Probably going to Florida or something, maybe 11 hours. Even then, you stop and get out and go to the bathroom, though. You know, through the whole straight
we
way.
took a really back-ass route to Denver, and we were in for like 20 hours, I think.
Now multiply that by 210.
An insane
230.
amount of time.
That I couldn't imagine, dude.
No.
You must really like people you're with. Like, you have to
you'd
get along
learn to
with
hate
them.
those people.
Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't learn to like them. You would hate them, dude. Imagine 7 months of the same people every morning you see them.
I can't handle 7 minutes with you, so obviously really screwed.
I know.
It'd be high school.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
all over again.
Good point. Man, that's tough.
All the time.
So just recap: 2.6.
2.6 dips. First man about the space race. Ryan Gosling, overrated. Damien Chazelle, back-to-back Best Director winner.
All right. So guys, any bold predictions for this week?
We have our World Series outcome by this time next week.
Florida will rush for over 200 yards and beat Georgia.
I'm gonna go with Syracuse knocking off NC State. I've been a huge fan of betting Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. That's kind of like the MO of my season, and it's done well. So, guys, anything else before we wrap this up?
As always, follow us on Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, iTunes. Make sure you subscribe and rate us. Home State comes out this Wednesday. We got some really good soccer food, down low information for you on this week's Knuckle Sandwich too.
All right, Dippers. On that note, for Drake, for Leighton, for Diesel and his doghouse, Dippers, as always, stay saucy.